Welcome back. You're still watching The Full View. Now, the Western Cape taxi stairway has left thousands of commuters in Cape Town stranded. Golden Era bus services say since yesterday, 6 buses have been torched and a bus driver was shot and wounded in Khayelitsha. The taxi industry began striking following the impounding of vehicles after the introduction of new public transport bylaws affecting them. We're now joined by SABC News reporter Mariska Botha, who's on the ground. Mariska, a very good evening to you. Look, we saw hordes of stranded commuters walking long distances yesterday. What is the current situation now?
We are actually at the bus terminus of the Golden Arrow bus service, which is now forming a crucial lifeline for those people that you were talking about. Yes, last night people were walking on the N2, one of the most dangerous roads in the city of Cape Town, to get home. Also on the R300 that links two different parts of the city, walking to get home, getting home hours after they were supposed to. Someone who experienced this is Mdaka. Mr. Mdaka is a commuter. And actually today they're also going to try and get alternative transport. I'm just going to ask him a few questions. Mr. Mdaka, thank you for joining us. What was it like yesterday?
Yesterday it was bad for us to travel also because I see our buses were burned down also, some couple of bus drivers that were killed also. So also we're returning back home. Yesterday we came back late from work.
So how did you get home?
So we took a bus. So the bus was coming off route, so we're taking the same route as today. So we have to go take a train, which we don't even know if there's a train for us to take home now. But we have to pray to God that we get the transport back home.
What is it like when you heard yesterday, when you heard there's no taxis? What were you thinking?
Yeah, it was difficult for me because of the previous experience of the taxis. They don't strike. So it was scary for us. Even this morning when we went to work, we usually take our transport. But our transport, you use we are driving like we were sheep, back in the bakkie, hidden away. So it was really scary for us to travel to work also. So today we had to come back via a bus. The bus also can't go through Khayelitsha because we're going to observatory. So we have to come straight to Cape Town and take a train back home.
And then, do you have to walk far now because of this?
Yes, you're going to have to walk because our transport drops us in front of the door. Because it's a quantum, so we can't use that because they're going to think it's a bus. Or it's a taxi that is driving, so our transport can't drive with us.
And are people during strikes like this, because you say during previous experiences it scared you, are people intimidated? Is that something that you see?
Yes, they are. People are scared, and some people didn't even come to work today. Some other guys were supposed to go to training, they didn't go for training also.
And how does that impact on the job that you're trying to do? Because you're also just trying to earn a living.
Well, it really impacts on that because we have to make our own way to get to work, where we pay for transport to take us to work and back home. Now we have to make our own way to go back. Like now, it's a struggle to go because we don't know if there's trains even to get home. Okay.
And how do you feel about that, not knowing if there's trains? Because that's also a major part of this.
It's scary because now that we have to walk back to observatory, and it's maybe not safe also to walk because it's going to get dark now any moment.
We wish you the best of luck, Mdaka. Thank you very, very much for speaking to us. We're sorry to have kept you. We hope you get a train. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Mr. Mdaka, they're very excited to have spoken to us, but telling us about a serious story. As you heard there, what he said from previous experiences from taxi strike, how scary it can be for people, because 6 buses we know thus far have been torched. A driver has been shot. Also, we heard from health services that elective surgeries had to be postponed. Services at hospitals and clinics are limited. Over 280,000 learners today could not get to school because of the taxi strike. So this is a very, very serious issue indeed. And as you heard there from Mr. Mdaka, he's the everyman. This is the situation for everybody that's trying to get home this afternoon and this morning, coming into town to get to work.
A very quick one, Mariska, before I let you go. Has there been any official statement from the city at this stage?
Official statement in terms of negotiations may be taking place, not at this stage, but the city has said that they are deploying law enforcement across the city to keep commuters safe, protecting buses where they can, giving escorts to buses to ensure that there is safe travel for people. I must just add that many of these buses are not taking their usual routes to ensure that the buses are as safe as possible, but that means, as you heard from Mr. Mdaka, that people have to walk far to get home.
SABC reporter Mariska Botha in Cape Town for us. All right, well, let's take the story further now. For more on this developing story, we are joined by Ms. Rebecca Phala. All right, we're going to get back to Ms. Rebecca Phala of the Santaco Western Cape chair. And we also tried, of course, to get hold of the city of Cape Town, just to also get some of their comments in terms of the ongoing impasse. All right, let's move on now back to the question of the day. How has the Santaco taxi shutdown in Western Cape affected you? Remember, do send us those comments to #FullView, where you can also view any of our interviews and features by going to sabcnews.com. And you can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. Let's look now at your tweets. Constitution 94 says, I don't live in Cape Town, but I have relatives who are negatively affected there. It's not even safe to drive your own car. SABC needs to be serious in their work. The city of Cape Town invested billions in street CCTV cameras. Why are they not in use to nab those thugs who are terrorizing citizens? Sidwal Nofemele says, we have relatives in that part of our country and I fail to understand the logic behind causing more strife and making people lose their income. And for more on this developing story, we're pleased to be joined on the line by Ms. Rebecca Phala, who's the Santaco Western Cape spokesperson. Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us. What exactly is your discontent with these new bylaws?
Alicia, good evening to you and your viewers. Perhaps a slight correction. I speak for Santaco nationally, not so much in the Western Cape. And the reason why I'm giving you a comment on this matter is because the National Office has joined efforts that are taking place in the Western Cape province, all in efforts to try get a resolution to this matter. The discontentment that we've got with the bylaws is that whilst they make sense from a legal perspective, the implementation thereof has resulted or has proven to be particularly targeted at the taxi industry with this heightened impounding of vehicles for offences committed in some instances by drivers. And we find that to be very concerning, and we're starting to be very much convinced that the government of the city of Cape Town is now targeting our vehicles. Hence, we've decided to pull them back until we can tell if there is a sense of security for us to proceed with our operations.
Look, Rebecca, I'm looking at some of these bylaws which are basically saying if your vehicle was involved in a reckless or negligent driving or illegal street racing, and authorities there without prior written notice, they can impound your vehicles if your vehicle is unregistered, vehicles not fitted with license plates, and vehicles damaged or in a state of disrepair. I mean, this seems to be like national laws that, of course, everyone should be abiding by. Why so much are you so much against some of these ones and calling them unfair?
Look, like I said to you, we fully appreciate what you just said to be the truth. We, as with every South African, understand that you can't operate an unroadworthy vehicle and not expect law enforcement to do their job. What we've found to be happening in Cape Town, there is not that. Cars are not being impounded because they're always found to be in contravention of those bylaws. When such happens, we've not had a problem. If anything, operators will go pay what's required, or if anything, act in accordance. But what we've found is if a driver, for instance, changes lanes without indicating, when a traffic officer stops them, they impound the vehicle without having necessarily checked the condition of said vehicle. And that's just one of the many other examples that our drivers are experiencing on the ground. So the situation on the ground is not necessarily the implementation of those bylaws, as you say there. Is an instance where when drivers are found to be erring on the road, vehicles are immediately impounded. And that's a problem for us.
Look, have you also cautioned some of your members against maybe the burning and torching of buses and destroying other infrastructure and transport services that are currently providing alternative transport to commuters, Rebecca?
We have, and we continue to. Also, we wish to just convey, our apologies to members of the community that these acts are happening. We want to also urge law enforcement to please heighten their efforts. When we met yesterday with community members and some civil society organizations, the messaging was clear. The taxi industry is going to withdraw its vehicles because we feel like we're being targeted until the leadership engages with the leadership of government in the Western Cape to find ways for them to implement the bylaws without seeming to be wanting to do away with our vehicles. Unfortunately, though, violence has now come into the picture, thereby diluting the intent of exactly what is it that we're trying to put forward. It is regrettable. We continuously tell our operators not to do this, and we condemn violence in all of its forms. And we ask law enforcement also to say, if they believe the taxi industry can help them to find the people responsible for these acts of violence, they should come to us. We'll do so, because we are not trying to be a law unto themselves. We're not trying to cause violence on the road. We appreciate the reality that public transportation is integrated and people have choice. So the emergence of violence is incredibly regrettable. We're not going to necessarily take responsibility and say whether it's our members or not, because then law enforcement would need to do their job to determine the people behind these shameful acts.
Very quickly, Rebecca, before I let you go, look, have you had any detailed engagements with the city before this strike? And what was their reaction, or even suggestions to meet you halfway? Are you even willing to have such engagements in the future?
Alicia, we actually, before we embarked on this stay off, earlier on this year, around March, a task team was started by the leadership of the Department of Mobility and Transportation in the Western Cape. And in that task team, the city of Cape Town was a part of it. Unfortunately, whilst we had hoped that that task team would be a way for us as all concerned stakeholders to find ways to resolve this before it could get to where it is today, the city of Cape Town proceeded to impound vehicles and about it. They even stopped coming to the meeting. So the gist of this is, it started when we pulled out of that task team and decided that maybe we should rather pull away our vehicles and find ways to sit down with them again and find resolutions. So we are not cancelling out the possibility of having engagements. If anything, the leadership of the Western Cape Santaco, as accompanied by the national office, are still attempting to have engagements even now with government. So we haven't cancelled that possibility out. We just want them to act in accordance with the law without targeting our vehicles and seemingly wanting to do away with our operations.
Thank you so much. That was Rebecca Phala. She is the National Santaco spokesperson, talking to us about the current taxi strike out in the province. And also, we tried to reach out to the Cape Town Mayor, Mr. Jordan Hill Lewis, to be part of this conversation. And unfortunately, those tries were unfruitful.